What's up, everybody? Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Soccer Show. My name's Ryan. Fortunate to be joined by Mo, so I don't have to do a solo show. We've got a couple of 3-game slates this week. They broke it up. There's an early game each day and then 3 games after. So kind of, I don't know, something different, but nice to have some midweek slates. Contest sizes aren't the best, but not really going to complain. How's it going, Mo? What do you think about this slate and your thoughts in general?
What's up, Ryan? It's good to have kind of this new phase of Champions League, at least following the structure we're used to. We've got some interesting games. I know in the next slate, in the Wednesday slate, we've got kind of a more classic, smash matchup and a couple close ones. Here, I think it's really hard to say any of them are smash matchups. We've got the always exciting but a bit unpredictable City versus Real Madrid. There's a Juve spot, which normally you wouldn't have much interest in given the low implied goal totals, but the prices are really cheap on them. So they're going to be something to look at as well. And then Lisbon versus Dortmund. Lisbon have been a mess since Amorim left them for Man United. But they're always good. They're going up against a Dortmund team that is similarly reeling after they sacked Nuri Sahin. So 2 struggling teams that are full of talent and also a little unpredictable. I don't know if we got an update since last night, but I think the projected lineup currently has Gyökeres in. Last night he was out, so I think he may play and will also be a big difference maker, I think, for this matchup, and then of course ultimately the slate. Still muted, Ryan.
Okay, yeah, it's a pretty interesting slate from a DFS perspective, I think. Just going through it, I didn't really see too many obvious plays. There's a lot of options, like midfield, for example. They're giving us $4,500 Tuan Koopmeiners with Juventus as the biggest favorite on the slate, but pretty much, all the cash game type plays are all midfielders. Joey Veerman on the other side of that game, De Bruyne for City, Kenda for Sporting, and then Gross or Brandt or somebody for Dortmund. Like, all the set piece takers are midfielders, and you don't really have to spend up for any forwards if you don't want to. And defender is far from clear. It's tough to even find the best defender on the slate, like point per dollar, not point per dollar. So the slate is actually wide open. It is kind of like knowing some ball could help here, because it's not as obvious as other slates. Just going through the totals and the matchups here, I said Juventus biggest favorite on the slate, but also that game has the lowest total considerably. And then, City, Madrid with the highest total, but I don't know, City have been up and down, more down lately. You could see that game going a bunch of different ways. These teams have played last year a couple times, I think, and the year before. And then Dortmund, both teams sort of a mess. Both teams with new managers recently. Both Dortmund losing again over the weekend. Let's see the lineups. See if we agree with the lineups. For Juventus, it's going to be important. Well, it could be important. They're short at defense, so sometimes Weah's been playing right back, but sometimes Weston McKennie has. And when McKennie plays there, Koopmeiners might play the attacking role. But if McKennie's in the midfield, I think Koopmeiners might be a little deeper, and that that's going to be a big decision point on this slate. PSV lineup looks accurate. I don't know if Malaysia is going to start. It might be who's the other? I can't think of the other left back. It might be the other left back, Moro Junior or something. Lisbon, I think that's the Lisbon lineup. I think Gyökeres is fine. I think he came, well, not fine, but he came on over the weekend. I think he's fit enough to start. That should be the lineup. Yeah, that should be the Dortmund lineup, right? Dortmund are going to have this new defender. They don't have Ben Sibiani. They don't have any of their left backs, so they just signed this Svensson guy on loan from Sweden. I had never heard of him. Who knows about City? But yeah, that'll probably be the lineup. And yeah, Madrid looks good. I don't know. Interesting slate, Mo. Should we? I guess we'll go to forward. Did you have a forward that's like your first guy in, or at least I guess it started in the expensive range? Do you prefer Mbappe, Vinny Jr., Haaland, neither? Rodrigo. Rodrigo would be maybe the obvious forward if Modric didn't start, but we have Modric not projected in. I kind of thought he was going to start. But yeah, maybe that would make Rodrigo the play if Modric isn't in. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. In my first look, I really struggled to have a first forward in because, my first thinking is I have no interest in Haaland at 11.6. City has just struggled. For the most part, I think teams know to lock in on Haaland as the one guy who seemingly can put the ball in the back of the net. And you're just begging for him to score that first goal. And then you're really, really begging for him to find another one just to, again, pay off his value and so on. So didn't have much interest in Haaland. When I went to the other side, then I was like, okay, good. Madrid's an away team. We're going to get a salary discount. Oh, wait, Mbappe is 12K and Vinny is 11.8. So it's not the friendliest pricing, to say the least. I also think it is overdoing them. When Mbappe and Vinny play together, they kind of cap each other's upside, right? They're both ball hogs. They both love to, hit shots, and they have to find a way to work together when they play together because it doesn't work for one or the other to just dominate. So I think you're right. Rodrigo is the most appealing if he's getting set. And I think the projected lineup is actually, I want to say, likely to be correct. I feel like Ceballos, because he's either younger or more defensive, has been getting a little bit more run of late and is likely to be favored in a matchup like this over Modric and his 40-year-old legs. So I think Rodrigo is the first place I'm interested in. Second forward, I think, is a fairly interesting spot because I think you have a few different Sporting guys. I actually don't know. I think Kenda is the likeliest set piece taker for Sporting. Am I right about that?
Yeah, that's how it had been, but the last two matches, Trincao has taken at least a couple. Trincao's been taking a few. Kenda's been taking a few more.
Yeah, Trincao is forever the bane of my existence. I have no love for him, and yet he'll always kind of show up on any given slate and do just enough to be the difference maker. So at forward, you have to think about Trincao, and then when you get over to Juve, again, this is the lowest projected total game. My general warning for all of Juve is these are very boom and bust guys. Even Coop Miners, you look at that price, you say, wow, that's fantastic. And then you open up the game logs and you see, it entirely depends on what you're going to get from him in any given game. And it doesn't really depend on whether he plays defensive midfielder or attacking midfielder. I mean, you have a beautiful 0.8 right there versus Napoli, right? It's just ridiculous, right? That a set piece taker playing attacking midfielder for a favorite would give you 0.8. But again, just really, really low outcomes. So Interestingly, we have Kolomwani in the lineup projected. Last night it was Vlahovic, but I guess is he like in the doghouse or something?
No, it's just Kolomwani can't stop scoring. Look at this. Look at this game log right here. Back-to-back braces.
There you go. Yeah, so that's impressive. So
Yep.
I mean, I think that is somebody I'm going to have tremendous interest in. What do you think, Ryan?
I mean, yeah, it's hard not to at that price. 5,400 with Juve as a nice favorite. Yeah, I think that's fine. Whoever starts, him or Vlahovic, Kolomwani in that type of form, definitely have some interest. Trincao, I was leaning towards just from for cash games at least. Not much else at forward. He'll probably take some sets. He usually plays 90. Decent spot, not a bad price tag. So I think you can play Trincao. I had Modric's game log up here. I don't know. I see UCL 88 minutes, UCL 90 minutes. It may just be the Champions League run for Modric this season. Like one competition for him. So I just bring that up because Rodrigo took 0 corners, 0 sets both of these games. So it's a big difference, or else he takes everything. So yeah, and I'd like to think you don't get as much of an ownership discount as you should, because not enough people realize or care. And last time I remember, he scored. He was optimal last time. He scored and assisted, I think. Been in great form. I mean, you can play him anyways. He's cheaper than the other guys. Yeah, Mo. What was I going to say? You might only need 1 goal from Haaland on this slate. I mean, I know what you're saying, but it might be a slate where I don't know. It might not be the highest scoring slate, and these guys are expensive. But yeah, for cash or for I don't know where else you would really look. Everything else seems like tournament plays. Yeah. Did you have any other takes? I don't know who else is there. Yildiz is 6,700. He doesn't play enough minutes, but I guess there's paths for him because he's been splitting the sets at least sometimes with Coop minors. Yeah, Yildiz 4 corners here. I mean, he's going to take the right-footed ones, even though he doesn't take quite as many. Has upside with a goal or an assist. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with your take there. I remember watching Yildiz during the Euros, and he's just such a hard worker. He's a great dribbler. There's a good path to floor points there. As is, just for the record, the same case with Nico. I don't know if is he forward or he's forward on this slate, and he's at 5.8, totally playable as well. All of these guys, again, the caveat is that Juve as a team play a bit of a slower paced game, as is reflected in their implied goals, but all of them have floor potential with great upside. The last guy I guess I'll mention in this category is I think it's Genny for Sporting. He's not in the projected lineup, but and he's questionable. But he also in the past, when he plays, has gotten a share of the sets. I definitely remember a past slate where he was something like 4K or 4.5K. He's a 7K here, which is expensive. But he was kind of inches from tapping in the game-winning goal that would have made all the people who played him, right at the top. 7K here. Am I going to recommend him over the other guys we've mentioned? Probably not. But just keep an eye out for that. If for nothing else, the impact it has on sets.
Yeah, no, for sure. He's definitely viable, probably in any format. I mean, if he did start, it could even be over Kenda. I mean, you wouldn't think so. Both guys are pretty highly rated, though. I've seen transfer links for both guys. And He's a little more expensive than you like, but salary doesn't matter too much on this slate, I don't think. Yeah, tournament plays are the Dortmund guys. I think we'll go overlooked in tournaments. And yeah, Gonzalez is probably the lowest owned Juventus forward. That's not bad for that price tag. The Dortmund guys, I like Gittins for 63. He's probably my favorite. Guirassy most likely to score though, but he'll be more popular and lower floor. Adeyemi hasn't quite found form since coming back from injury. Definitely has a lower floor than Gittins. Doesn't play as much. Let's see, like Gittins looks like the real deal. I mean, a top team's going to sign him soon. He's been playing 80 plus minutes. He's a nightmare to deal with. Adeyemi, 60-ish minutes, but still a good tournament play because, we've seen so many 60-minute braces from Adeyemi. He's definitely out of form, but, whatever. If you're playing the main GPP, is worth considering.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really, I think the issue, which is what we flagged at the start, really is I don't have a strong feeling about how any of these games go, right? I don't have a good feeling about who wins from City and Real Madrid. Sporting and Dortmund, I also don't have a strong feeling. Juve, sure, it seems like they're doing well, but honestly, I still would be very, very surprised to see them go past 2 goals. They're currently projected for 1.6, right? So, as I've kind of said before, you might want to figure out where your gut is leaning on the results of these games and just lean into that, because aside from the Juve guys we've shouted out, and Rodrigo, if Modric isn't playing, which Ryan has now convinced me is likely to be the case, he's likely to play. I don't have strong leanings. So it's going to be a very much play who you want.
Yep, I agree. Over to midfield, Foden is 10-2. I wasn't really considering him, but yeah, I don't know. You can talk about it. KDB 8-8, so a $1,400 difference there. Veerman 69. Gross 57, and then Kenda 61, Coop Miners 45. So there's 5 set piece takers there. You can only play 3 of them. 6 set piece takers if you count Foden. And again, like, you can afford Foden here way easier than you think. Defender, you don't have to spend money. Forward, you don't have to spend money. But it's not like it's a great spot for the City guys either. So, I mean, if I knew who the best midfield plays were, I'd just play them, but unfortunately I don't. What do you think, Mo?
Yeah, it's funny. Right as we shift to midfield after getting done with forward, I realized there are 2 guys I wanted to talk about. So this is going to require going a little back, and then before we get back to the future. The first guy is Marmoush. He's not projected, right? But if he does start, he has taken sets each time he's played. This is like very much in the model of what we saw with Alvarez last year, where whoever is like Guardiola's guy on the wing, like, he gives him the sets. And we saw that with Foden too. So I think that's going to be an interesting question of, if you're going to lean into the City angle, which I don't know that you should, but if you are, he's somebody to consider. And then we didn't even talk about your favorite guy, Gyökeres. I know he's just come back from injury, but Dortmund's been kind of a mess. Are either one of those guys worth considering?
Yeah, I mean, I think they got to be. Gyökeres, yeah, he's going to be lower owned than all the other guys. I don't think it's a typical Champions League slate where they're just like all going to smash, or multiple of them are necessarily going to smash. So it means you can probably take a chance. And yeah, definitely Marmoush, especially if KDB started, I'd be a little bit worried. because you'd want sets for 10-4. I mean, have we seen them on the pitch together and what happens? I mean,
in the last game, KDB came on for Marmoush. I think it was it the Arsenal game? It was either the Arsenal game or one after it where they subbed on late KDB.
But I mean, I mean, I'd have a tough time playing him if KDB started. I guess it would be my answer, but it wouldn't surprise me if he took sets. I just would worry about sets and minutes for 10,400. I don't know. With how City have been playing, probably not. I thought you might bring up. Let me see. I didn't even see the prices yet. We didn't talk about. We didn't talk about any PSV guys. Lang and Bakayoko, 83, 82. Not great options, but lower owned tournament plays. Anyways, back to midfield
back to midfield. Yeah. So the reason it came to mind was just because I was thinking about KDB, and the crazy thing is I mean, when I saw him against Arsenal, he just looked so lost, and the fact that he only came on in the 72nd or 75th minute against Arsenal just made me think that something must have happened in their relationship, because that City team looked atrocious, and nevertheless Guardiola was like, I'm not going to bring him on. And then he also didn't bring him on in the next game versus Leyton Orient.
Yeah. I remember telling you on the last pod, that last Champions League slate, he told Guardiola to fuck off 3 times in a row, just screaming at him.
Right.
So you never know.
It has to be that, because they're just, it's weird. There's just complete lack of trust there at a time when nothing is working out for the City team. So that all of that is to say, 8-8 at a 1,600 discount from Marmoush and a 1,400 discount from Foden. Yeah, it would usually be a very quick click. But right now I'm a little skeptical. I think ultimately, if I was playing cash, that's still where I would go as a starting point, because they're going to need him to show up if it's going to work out for them. And for the most part, minus that PSG game, he's still going, 60 is no, he's still, it's really hard to say, because he went only 63 versus Ipswich, but the job was done at least there. So I would say he's still going lengthy minutes if you exclude the major relationship changing game. And he's still putting in KDB performances up until recently. I think that's probably the first place I go. And then I think you have a big decision to make on Modric or Coop. You could honestly even go both, right? I think, this game is the highest implied goal total game for a reason, right? It's the one where the most action is expected. And so I would definitely think that there's a path for Modric to have a good floor. In years past, what we would see in the first leg of a game like this is that, either Madrid will score on the counter and City will dominate, or City will just dominate, and then get hit on the counter. That's usually how the script of these games goes. But City have been unable to dominate anybody for weeks now, I don't know. I'm gonna leave that to you. I would just say that Coop at his 4.5 price tag, even if he does give you a flop 6-point game or whatever, is a much lower risk. Whereas Modric at 6 feels a little higher risk. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, it's tough. I didn't even mention. I've been talking about Modric starting, and I didn't even mention him either time when I just listed off all those midfielders. But you're right. He's done pretty well in the 2 games he's played. 39 years old is just crazy. But 88 minutes, 90 minutes, taking most of the sets. Yeah, it's not bad. And Coop Miners, I wish they would have made him more expensive. It's really annoying. Again, though, I don't think he's a must because like money's not that important. I like Kenda quite a bit too. If he's taken most of the sets, same price as Modric, yeah, I don't know, because you were saying like somebody about being safe or whatever, 6 point. I don't know, that might beat you on this slate. You're going to get beat on this slate because I feel like three midfielders are going to have double-digit floors, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think so. And if they get a goal involvement, I don't know, Veerman, I don't even mind Veerman. People might not go there or think to go there with them, PSV being the biggest dog, but Juventus isn't that good, and they've given up floor points in the Champions League, at least early. Maybe they've gotten better recently, but I mean, it's a pretty makeshift lineup. Like all their defenders are out. I mean, this Savona guy hadn't heard of him until a couple weeks ago. They just got this Renato guy from Chelsea. I mean, he had been playing in like cup games for Chelsea sometimes. Tim Weah is a forward. So honestly, like somebody told me Veerman was the top play, like Veerman with a monopoly. If you get 90 out of him, he might be the top play. Kenda as well, if he takes most. That's without even mentioning, like De Bruyne is fine, right? But Coop Miners is fine. I don't know. I can't really tell the people anything more. You just got to decide who's in the best spot. All these guys are fine options.
Yeah, no, I think my thoughts are the same. The thing I will say, and you kind of started this thread, is you got to beware of playing too safe on this slate, right? Because there's a lot of guys who are deceiving in that they might be set piece takers, they might have a path to some floor, but their ceiling might be quite capped. And Coop Miners is really in that exact mold, right? I mean, we're looking at the only smash games he's had in the last 3 months or so are
2 here.
Yeah,
I mean, if you fade Coop Miners and he scores 12 or something, though, yeah, you're in big trouble. So that's why it's a tough one, right?
Right, but I mean, I will say it's one against Empoli, who are, I think, always at the bottom of the league, and the other one is against Milan, which is can't really say the same thing there. I mean, it's really hard because he as you can see, he's often going 90 and whatever, but the floor, I mean,
man, this 18-point floor against Empoli from a defensive midfield position, 5 shots. Oh man, 8 crosses. I mean,
and then the next game you get 1.3 though, right? Like it's infuriating. So I don't know. I mean, I can't really translate what don't be too safe is, but I would say I think that's going to be one of the big things because if you don't have enough of those guys who are going to score and assist, even if it's the very expensive Vinnies and so on, you're going to get left behind. I think among the names we've mentioned, though, I increasingly have an interest in KDB because I think, there's so little for them to still hold on to this season. Like they are going to be going full out for the Champions League. I think that a similar argument, I don't know if it's a similar argument, but there's also a good argument for Joey Veerman because I think that, he just gets there slate after slate. The sets are 100%. PSV, the way they just play is they just create a lot of these set opportunities, whether it's because they have good dribblers or whatnot. I like both of those plays. And then that third spot, I'm gonna let you roll the dice on whether you like Coop or Modric or Kenda. Really hard for me to come up with a strong argument to go any particular way there.
Yeah, I'll be going to be interested to see ownership tomorrow. I don't even know who the first guy in is, or who's going to be the highest owned. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, I agree with all that pretty much. I think, targeting the guys in the Madrid City game makes sense just with it being the highest total and the two best teams. We didn't even mention Pascal Gross. Don't think you need him on this slate. But like a monopoly for 5,700 if he plays, can't be the worst. I mean, 12 crosses last game is look at these games. So it'll be real interesting to see what people do. See what people do in these spots. Okay. Anyone else to talk about? I mean, the only other guys like Foden and Bellingham up top, they're 10-2 and 9-8. It's just low owned tournament plays. It's tough to really consider anybody else. There's too much opportunity cost, in my opinion. One guy we forgot to mention that might be okay. Savinho is only 6,800. It's just way cheaper than all the other guys. He's forward eligible. I mean, we forgot to mention him forward. I don't know. Some people like to play him. It's not the worst price. But yeah, defender, Mo. Is there a guy on this slate you want to play? Do you have a first guy in? I mean, what are your thoughts here?
It's not a strong first guy in. It's just a first guy in. I would say I don't think that's going to be the guy you expect either. Ryerson is 3,900. He's suspended for the next game in the league, so it's unlikely that he's going to be a sub risk. His MO, it seems, when a game is in danger for Dortmund, is to just turn into a crossing machine. He had 10 crosses versus Shakhtar. He followed that with 9 against Heidenheim, or however you say the name. And then he had 5 versus Stuttgart before he got himself sent off at the end of that game. So, again, you said it. There are no locks. There's no, fullback set piece takers or consistent goal scorers. But there is Ryerson, who is a pretty darn consistent crosser at a pretty cheap price. So that's my first pick of the bunch. Where do you go from there, Ryan?
Okay, nice. Yeah, Ryerson. I have Ryerson too at the moment. Just makes sense with everything you said. He's had some big cross games. He's suspended in the league. Yeah, they're short at the position, so you feel pretty good about that for 3,900. Savona, what is Savona? 31 on the biggest fave, most likely clean sheet. Don't like to see subbed at half last game. 3,100. Worth mentioning. Let's see. Juventus doesn't have another fullback. Probably no on the PSV fullbacks. Araujo's midfield eligible. This Fresneda, or however you say his name, what is he like? 3,400. He's
Yep, that's right.
So hard. He's been scoring some goals recently, I'm pretty sure.
Good
back-to-back games. Goal on February 2nd, goal on February 7th. So for 3,400, that has to be fine. Let's see. Probably not going to play anyone on, Rico Lewis and Gvardiol. Either one of them are fine, I suppose. And then Dortmund are going to have Daniel Svensson, who, he's left-footed. I think he took some sets for his old club. I wouldn't bet on him taking any here, but can't be the worst. And, maybe he'll pump crosses in like Ryerson. No one's going to play him at 4,900. So
can we highlight Jack's silly but evergreen comment? Just every slate, it's such a flop so many times, and yet Jack will go back to
with 6 set piece takers at midfield on this slate.
We'll go back to the min price Sabitzer.
Yeah. Let's see how's he been doing.
He's doing nothing. I mean, this guy. What is he giving us? Yeah, absolutely nothing in ages. I mean, come
He
on,
had
Jack.
8 points. This is a ceiling right here. This 8-pointer. Oh, Jack.
This is, I mean, the man has abandoned DFS, and clearly
He's already cooked. Yeah.
he's cooked.
He's been out
Exactly.
for 2 weeks.
He's cooked. On defender, the tough thing on this slate, as you really already said, is that a bunch of these teams, whether it's because of injuries or whatnot, are playing forwards and midfielders as fullbacks. So we got Weah for Juventus as a fullback. Maxi Araujo is a winger, basically, also playing fullback. And then Nunez for City.
Valverde
as well.
Yeah.
And it's such a frustrating role because, I mean, honestly, a totally armchair quarterbacking Guardiola here, but the Nunez at fullback experiment is awful. I mean, it really, he doesn't know what to do. City don't know what to do, and clearly Guardiola doesn't know what to do with that position. But Nunez is not the answer. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, no, you're right, and Nunez is gonna get to test his fullback skills against Vinny Jr. tomorrow. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It hasn't been going well. We'll see.
It's a good question raised by your comment, though. I finished kind of building a projected lineup, and I end up with like way too much salary left over in the util spot. So is that where we just jam in one of the big expensive guys from Madrid and hope they have a great game? Do we, instead disperse it more amongst some higher priced guys? Where are you leaning as we're
I kept coming to the same thing, really. Like, no matter who you play, you can still afford Mbappe or Vinny. Like, pretty much. Really, I kept finding the same thing. So I will probably end up doing that. Like, it's pretty easy to spend up one time. And I don't think City are going to keep a clean sheet. So yeah, I'll probably end up doing that, Mo. Okay. Goalkeeper, Juventus, 35% clean sheet odds, 50% win odds. What is De Gregorio, 56. I see people getting there. We just talked about how you have money. We just talked about how you have money. They got the best clean sheet odds, clearly. I don't see people jumping to play City or Madrid keepers necessarily. What are the prices? Maybe Madrid.
45.
Yeah, Courtois as a dog actually seems pretty nice. People probably will play that. I don't know. Don't have many thoughts. Sporting keeper, any keeper's fine. I don't have many thoughts, Mo. Maybe you do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think as we saw yesterday in the Super Bowl, right, like defenses are basically the equivalent of keepers in that sometimes you just get the absolute nut script that's going to make your guy incredible. And then on a different slate, he's just going to suck, right? There is definitely a strong path for Courtois to just nuke tomorrow, right? The City can't score. They just seem likely to take a bunch of shots, and Madrid as a team kind of are set up in a way where they allow a lot of shots. So the narrative is set up. Of course, again, he concedes early, or City decide that they don't want to get a single shot on goal unless it's to score, and it falls apart. So I think he is a strong consideration. What would play against him is he's not really all that cheap necessarily for an underdog. He's still 4,500. And the favorites aren't that expensive either, right? Like Sporting and Juventus are both much more favored, much more likely to keep clean sheets, and their prices respectively are 1,100 more and 700 more. So you can play anyone. There's good narratives for all of them. I think my leading candidates are Courtois and maybe De Gregorio, but I think this will be dictated by where else I go.
Yeah, I agreed. I think, with 3 games too, you can definitely play this like there aren't going to be any clean sheets. I mean, that's what the odds say is most likely anyways. And yeah, Courtois as an underdog, I think has been pretty profitable over the last few seasons and usually pretty popular. So yeah, hard to argue with any of that. Okay. Even went a little bit longer than we expected. 40 minutes. Wow. Any other thoughts for Tuesday's 3-gamer, Mo?
No, I think ultimately it just feels like a weird one. It's not an easy slate. It's not a particularly hard slate. It's just a very few fixed decisions slate. No guys that I can think of the lineup we've built here are guys who are musts. There are guys that there's lots of reasons to feel good about. But ultimately, it's going to be all about finding what narratives you think are likely to play out and hoping that the guys you pick can see them through.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Almost like a true play whoever you want slate. I would say just don't feel like you have to play anybody, and go with what you think is going to happen in the games. Like Mo said, I'm talking about forward, like who you think's going to win, play those guys, that sort of thing. Okay, we will be back with another pod for Wednesday's slate. Thanks, Mo, and good luck, everybody.
Good luck, y'all. And thanks, Diego, for joining us. Good luck to you too.
RotoWire.com/soccer trial.